We and many others in the media for the past few months have been saying that when you normalize masked law enforcement officers just rolling up on people and effectively throwing them in the back of a van and carting them away, that is going to be very appealing to people who want to commit crimes. Those who are just as xenophobic, just as racist as some of the people doing it with a badge but don't have the badge, can use the fact that that's a thing that's happening now to do it themselves. And we warned about that, and it is evidently happening. There have been at least 3 instances that HuffPost has compiled, let alone others that might be out there, of men impersonating ICE agents in order to specifically target and hurt women. And we're gonna tell you about those cases. There is a North Carolina man reportedly posed as law enforcement and threatened to deport an immigrant woman before he kidnapped and raped her. In Maryland, a man allegedly approached a Latina woman in a parking lot, flashed a fake ICE badge and told her to get into his car or face deportation. He reportedly raped the woman in his car before law enforcement was called. A New York man allegedly posing as an ICE agent punched a woman in broad daylight and then tried to rape her before stealing her phone and her purse. And one would think that after these dark predictions started coming true in states around America, well, obviously something needs to change. ICE policy needs to change. They need to stop masking themselves, making it so that you can't see what their name is, be a little bit more clear about their identification, their badge, the legal right to be doing what they're doing. But obviously that's not happening. And so we need to appeal to the leadership, which is, for some reason, Kristi Noem, I guess, is in charge of this. And so the Democratic Women's Caucus has, they've appealed to her to do something about this. And we're gonna read to you a little bit of the letter that they sent. I just wanna be very clear. Kristi Noem does not care at all. At all. If migrants are being assaulted or raped, if US citizens are being assaulted or raped, and if the policy that she's not only pursuing when it comes to ICE, but participating in, doing cosplay, like she's one of the officers or whatever, if that's enabling this, she doesn't care. But I'm glad that the Democratic Women's Caucus is at least trying to appeal to a better nature that she does not possess. So 33 members of that caucus signed it. They shared it with HuffPost and said that they urged ICE agents to visibly and clearly identify themselves when conducting immigration enforcement activities, to stop enabling impersonators who leverage women's uncertainty and fear of immigration consequences to rape, harass, and abuse them. And the letter also says this: all our lives, we are taught to fear masked men in unmarked vehicles. We learn we should run from such men to avoid being kidnapped, sexually assaulted, or killed. Yet ICE is increasingly conducting raids and arrests in masks, plain clothes without visible identification or badges, using unmarked vehicles, tactics that cause confusion, terror, and mistrust among the public. And thus far, there has been no response whatsoever from Kristi Noem, who doesn't give a damn about this. Because unfortunately, the Democratic Women's Caucus needs to understand that appeals to protect women are only useful if it's used as a weapon against trans people, if it's used to police what happens in women's sports or whatever. Outside of that, they do not care. And they're not remotely interested. And so you're likely to see a lot more of this. And all of this is being brought to you by this insane policy that never should have begun in the first place. And I do also want to remind everyone that while people who are not a member of ICE or Border Patrol or law enforcement are using all of this to abuse these women, never forget that the people with the badges also abuse those women. And sexual assault is a constant in these detainment facilities. And not just under Donald Trump, by the way. This goes back, it's throughout administrations. It happens in prisons, it happens in immigration detention facilities. This is just a new form of sexual assault that women need to face being attached to all of this. Sharon, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, I mean, what you related it's chilling, because I had these thoughts that, well, John, we don't know the half of it. This is so convenient to deviant souls who wish to commit these kinds of crimes. It's easy. You might even have sympathy from onlookers if you're in the right jurisdiction. And I think that the population that they're targeting is not even reporting all of it, not by a long shot. So this is absolutely disgusting and chilling. You're right. I mean, I guess they had to try it with Kristi Noem, but she could care less. I mean, she shot a puppy. Come on, in a gravel pit. She doesn't care. Steal her bag at a restaurant while the Secret Service or whoever is guarding her is around. Now that she cares about, although she has plenty of money. Okay, this is, again, devaluing life, women, men too, as you mentioned in these centers, the gay hairdresser who came back. I mean, he talked about how he was sexually violated. It's torture. It's disgusting. And when will the targeting stop? Every day there's another upping of the ante. Like, oh yeah, there's more fallout here. It's gross.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to be doing a short later on today, so look for that. Responding to SE Cup, who's angry at the Democrats for constantly pointing out that crime is down. Evidently, the Democrats are falling into a trap by not just like meekly going along with Trump's fascist propaganda or whatever. And I'm going to say thank you for your opinion, SE Cup, but no, I'm going to continue to point out what's actually happening. We're going to point out when there are lies about criminal activity, and we're going to point out when there's actual criminal activity. And when all of this is going on, and Donald Trump's answer is instead, I'm going to post hundreds of soldiers around the National Mall. By the way, tons being posted in areas that have literally not had a single crime reported this year. Then we're going to point out to people that he's not interested in fighting crime. He is interested in fascist imagery. That's it. He himself is a criminal. He is pardoning criminals. He has filled his administration with criminals, and his insane xenophobic immigration policy is helping to facilitate further crime and exploitation of women. That's what I'm going to do. Now, I don't have a fancy show on cable news like she does. She can use her time how she wants. She can misuse her time how she wants. But that's what we're going to do with our little YouTube channel. And with that said, we're going to move now to what is, I guess, a growing genre of news, which is MAGA and members of MAGA finding out all too late that their love of Donald Trump is not necessarily going to save them. And by the way, people saying that I should interview John Oliver. No, I'd like to. I don't think it's gonna happen. That's not the problem necessarily. Yeah. I would like to hang out with him. I would like to, I want to be friends with him, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think he knows who I am. But anyway, with that, why don't we jump into this next story? We have covered so many Trump supporters getting utterly screwed over by their God Emperor. And most of them, and this is the most tragic part of it, afterward love him just as much as they did before. Far rarer is the time in which they are screwed over and they learn as a result of it. And we have an example of that today. So this is two Trump voters who allege that Border Patrol agents racially profiled them after they were stopped and questioned while they were driving to the dentist, and they were treated horribly. They were also treated as tons of people are treated across America every day under the Trump administration. But in this particular case, it did get through to them. So let's talk about their experience. This is George and Esmeralda Doylez, both US citizens, for all the good that does you in a lawless society like America 2025. They were driving to an appointment in Southern California when a dark SUV started to follow them. George told a San Diego NBC affiliate that the SUV put on a siren, pulled them over, and a group of masked Border Patrol agents got out to question them. Why did they have to be in masks? God only knows. I guess because they're doing things that you wouldn't want to be identified with, I suppose. They said that they had, the Doylezes said that they'd been scoping out potential camping sites in the area on the way to the dental appointment. See, they had made the mistaken assumption that in America as a citizen, you can go to the dentist and you can plan a vacation. Maybe you could have at some point. You can't freely do that today. Don't worry, they've gotten that message. And so a Border Patrol agent questioned the husband through the car window saying, if you have a dentist appointment, it probably wasn't the best idea to be out in the middle of nowhere. And he said, we have the right to travel anywhere we want to travel. To which the guy says, you're absolutely right, you do. And I actually have the right and authority to stop you. It's called reasonable suspicion. So the reasonable suspicion is that they were in an area where he thought there wasn't much going on. So I guess you can't be there. And then let's also, of course, acknowledge their race. That is the obvious, unavoidable part of this. Tom Homan told us. And the lawyers for the Trump administration are appealing to the Supreme Court. Please just get off our back and let us racially profile people. We're gonna do it anyway. Just give it the stamp of approval. And so that's what they're doing right here. Now, they said that there was a known alien who had been detected in the area. Well, hold up. You just said that there was nothing around there. So what, has he been living in the brush or something? And oh, so you suspect that there's an alien in a geographic area so you could racially profile anyone you want? Again, that's not how a modern democracy is supposed to work. It is unfortunately how America works right now. He also said that they had aroused suspicion by making several U-turns, which again, add this to the list of things that you might have thought that you could do, but you cannot do in America anymore. And in the wake of the incident, which left George terrified and his wife shaking and crying, the couple said that they regretted their votes for Trump, saying, quote, "I feel shame, guilt, and anger at the same time because of the promises that he made, that he lied to us about, going after the worst of the worst. He lied on those and he stole our vote." And they are 100% right. Sharon, what do you think?
I am trying to remember, I told you Cenk kind of changed my heart and mind a little bit. Like, well, Sharon, don't assume that people always are watching the same sources or know the same things. He did tell them, he did lie and say, we're going after the worst of the worst. I'm not celebrating that they're now terrified and regretful. I am celebrating that, well, actually, I am celebrating that they're regretful because it means they've at least learned something here. You have people we profiled a guy whose wife was taken away. She's not the lowest of the low, the worst of the worst, and still plans to vote for a known liar. And he's got those other crimes, convictions. I don't get it. Sometimes I do believe that people who come from other places that are far more restrictive, I don't know if we can put the word far in front of it anymore, are grateful for what they have. And so if you want to restrict them a little bit, it's not like back home. I don't understand some of these people. I can't identify with them, but it's going to get a whole lot worse for more people like that. And let's hope more wake up.
Yeah, again, like you had said, the thing with Cenk, we can't know what people pay attention to, like that, if they pay attention at all, which is difficult. It's a luxury to be able to follow the news on a regular basis, let alone where they get their news from. I mean, they could think that they're doing that by watching Fox. I mean, I watch the news and you learn absolutely nothing because it's just propaganda. It's state-sponsored propaganda. And some people, it takes a certain thing to get them to pay attention. So I try to bear that in mind. Sometimes when I'm not thinking about that though, I am astounded that a person can have made it to this last election and not know 1,000 times more than you need to know about Donald Trump to know everything you need to know about him as president. But that said, they do regret it. Thankfully, they were eventually released, so that's good. And I'm assuming their political activity in the future will probably be different. But either way, nobody should be treated like this. This is not the way our society is supposed to work. And I think that more and more people are going to realize that. More and more people are going to maybe get uncomfortable with remember when you could be in a city and there weren't soldiers everywhere? Like why is that? Like, this is not America, okay? And hopefully people's attachment to the abstract concept of what our society is supposed to be overrules the propaganda and the lies, the fear mongering by Donald Trump.